Thank you, Madam Chair. I already said a few words this morning at Calum, and like I said, when I first got the invitation to come to these meetings, and I was trying to figure out a way, figure what I can bring to the meeting to help out, to help the families that have lost loved ones. And through these meetings, I hope that maybe the suggestions that have been made can be used so that to help the women that have been missing. And this morning after the meeting in Calum, I had a few friends that are from Calum, and I asked them, I said, how come you guys never come to the meeting? How come you guys come and support the people that are putting up this meeting? And they said, well, tell you the truth, we've been going to a lot of meetings ever since, I don't know for how long, they said, and there have been no results, nothing's been found. There's not even, none of the ladies that have been missing, or the girls. And so I told them, I said, well, maybe you come and to help out. But I think it's through these meetings that have been held, maybe somehow or some way that we'll find an answer to for the families that have lost loved ones, the ladies. Maybe it'll give them some little bit of hope that you know, their loved one can be found and returned home. And when I was when I returned back to the room, I was listening to the news. I guess you all hear that little boy that was missing. How happy their families were when that boy returned. And that's why it dawned on me too about what is happening to the communities of the women that are missing. How happy the families would be if any of them are found or find the reason why they're missing. And so, like I said, I hope that through these meetings, the suggestions that have been made, that one way or somehow, that we'll find an answer so that none of the women will be missing again. And through there are women, you know, they're hitchhiking or somebody picked them up to give them a ride. And on the way down now, I noticed on our Nisga'a highway, there's not allowed to have hitchhiking. They have signs on the highway that we no hitchhiking. So maybe somehow, maybe put signs up and we know hitchhiking. Maybe somehow the ladies wouldn't hitchhike, but I know that some of them are forced to hitchhike because of the poverty. They can't afford to pay their rides on the buses and other transportation that we do have. So with that, I'd like to thank the organizers again for putting up these meetings and listening to the people. And like I said, I hope that through these meetings that an answer will be found so that it would not happen to the families, because I know how hurt the families are when their loved ones don't come home. And we'll just hope that somehow, like I said, we'll find an answer and prevent this from happening anymore. Thank you.
I didn't really come tonight prepared to speak. I came really to listen. We've already heard a few speakers tonight. I think that we're speaking from the heart. Obviously, this is an issue that is of concern to everyone. And so I think that your comments earlier, Mr. Commissioner, around the disappointment that you felt that members of the community that you thought should be attending or not attending, I think was a good one. I think that we need to be here, we need to be listening, we need to understand and find ways to move this along to get to some solution. I think that what we'll hear tonight, and we've already heard from some, is the experiences that that this has resulted in, the hardships, the heartbreak. It must be overwhelming when you think about it. So I would hope that my presence here at a minimum is to listen, to understand, to try to help, and to just let you know that we care.
I spent quite a few years living in the greater Vancouver area, and my best friend was living in common law with my wife's friend in Vancouver for quite a few years, and I think it was in 1971 I was having dinner with them in one of the hotels in Vancouver. And they invited me to go with them to a party. They said they were heading up to the pig farm. I told them I didn't know what the pig farm was, and I didn't see any reason why I should go there for a party. I guess he frequented the place, and from what I hear from other people, it was that it was part of her life. But my friend and I were never out of a job, and we lived a very high life. There was nothing to do with poverty. And I know she never lived in poverty because of the way my friend and I lived and made a living. But when the trial began, I tried to phone the RCMP in Vancouver area because they wanted proof of these women that visited the pig farm. And they told me that they had the people they needed at the trial. And I asked them if I could leave my name with them, just so that I can tell them that I knew she went there quite often. But they said it wasn't going to be necessary. I was going to stay away from this and let it go, but I followed the 9/11 stories quite closely. And the one lady was talking about how the coroner kept showing up at her house with different parts of her son's body. And this happened for a period of 4.5 years. And she said she never did get his full body. But a week before his 10th anniversary, she finally had the body parts cremated and brought them back to ground zero. And she said that was the only time she felt closure for her son. And I know we don't feel closure, and my friends don't feel closure for losing their sisters at the pig farm when we know they were there. And I don't see why the province decided to go with only 6 cases. I think they should reopen it and find out exactly how many women they can find there. And when I left them that evening, they were heading to the pig farm. Her last comment to me was, "Don't have the breakfast sausage in the morning." And I never knew why she said that to me until the court case began, and they showed all these videos of what was happening there. And I'm assuming she knew what was going on there. But I just thought I'd mention that here. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Opal and your team. I'd like to thank the mayor for being here, the members of the RCMP, and our Nisga'a from Dingle, you know, for coming in from Ayanch. When I first heard about this, I found myself getting really angry. And the reason why I felt like that was there has been so much said that this is a Native problem. You know, these are First Nations women, and the majority of them are First Nations women. And the reason why I felt angry is that, you know, the way I felt was the first thing that came into my mind is that, again, you know, we are still a big industry. We are still being studied for the problems that are happening. The victims are still being blamed. And we get a very clear message of that. You know, I was really glad of what Marty said, you know, that this is a social problem. That sort of brought my anger level down, that it's not only with just First Nation. I'm really glad to listen to you speak, and the reason for that was, like I said, when I first heard about this, I was angry. And the reason why I felt like that was, I've watched a lot of our people, and it's not just First Nations people. You know, when Millie talked about the government mandates, they do not prioritize. Yes, they pay lip service to the poor people. They pay lip service to the people who need help. And yet, they do not provide the money to places like the anti-poverty, the women's group, places where a lot of our people drop in here. You know, we're lucky that we have the Terrace Nisga'a Society. We're lucky that we have the Promoting Friendship Society. But there are a lot of people that used to frequent those other places, and I used to go in there, even, you know, ask for help myself because I didn't know how to deal with a legal problem. You know, and when I think of that, the message that you are giving, you know, not only to our poor, to our First Nations, but the very people that we're supposed to be representing, is very clear. You know, you're not on our priority list. You are not that important. And that definitely needs to change. you know, when you're talking about public policy and stuff like that, you know, it has to be made clear to the people. They have to feel it. They have to see it, that somebody cares. You know, not just to be doing a study and not coming out with something, you know, that's tangible, that we could see. You know, the recommendations will probably come from you guys, and I would like to see, you know, more help and more availability of funds for the very grassroots people who are helping each other. But the other thing that really bothered me about this when I heard about was that when one of our members from Gitwin, a young lady, went missing, and we heard about it, and we were trying to, the people from Gitwin, the guys from Gitwin were trying to get together. And I can't really remember whether they had called the RCMP, whether they had called anybody, but I know the phone calls came out to all of us. And what we found was that we had a very hard time finding a place where we could work out of. All our men from Gitwin came out to Terrace. The vehicles came out, and the women came out making lunches and stuff like that. We were very lucky that CF&R almost immediately provided their office for an out, you know, where we could have, where we could gather while the men were out looking. And when Claude was talking about communications is very important, I think it is. And probably sometimes even when we don't think about that somebody is actually missing, maybe we could, you know, approach it in another way. You know, we could make it public, whether it be on TV, whether it be on radio. I know that a lot of times now, as soon as we have somebody missing, you know, phone calls are going around, and we actually get some pictures of people on Facebook. So maybe now, you know, we could look at other ways with the media, because a lot of people don't have TV. You know, and sometimes, you know, the people are found pretty quickly. And that we're always very grateful for that. But as soon as you hear of somebody been missing for about a day, our hearts just, you know, it really bothers us, because I know what it's like when I am manning the VHF and listening to the guys, wondering, you know, what message is going to come in. And the first couple of days, I remember when we were doing that, we were working with the mother, we were working with father, we were working with the uncle. And you're just in a daze, you just do. You are on automatic pilot looking around. And it never dawns on you that maybe we should have called the RCMP, got some suggestions, maybe we should have called the media and got some suggestions, maybe we could have called the radio stations and got some suggestions. But, you know, there needs to be a lot more done. And the reason for that, you know, the hitchhiking will always be here. Because sometimes people don't hitchhike for recreation. A lot of times they need to get from point A to point B. Sometimes they have appointments. And it costs quite a bit of money to get, like even from Gingoli, it costs quite a bit of money to get from Gingoli to get to Terrace. It costs a lot of money from Kitimat to get to Terrace. And you might be, you know, just having somebody hitchhiking from Terrace up to the hill to the college. You never know if somebody's going to disappear in just that short little distance. So there, you know, I'm really glad that I did come tonight. I'm really glad that I listened to all the speakers, because like I said, you know, when I first heard about this, And when I was gonna come, I was pretty angry. I was very angry. But I do feel better, and I sure would like to encourage you all. And to encourage our own people too. I know that in the NAS, we are working quite a bit to alleviate the, you know, the problems and the challenges that our own people are having. And I'm hoping that you guys will work with us. No, not decide that these are the solutions that we're going to give you guys. You know, come amongst us and see what it's like. You know, we are only a few here. I'm just wondering if you guys have actually listened to the people who are actually living the challenges, you know, for where we're looking for solutions for them. Once again, I'd like to encourage you. I'd like to thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, I too am glad I came tonight. I think it's encouraging to see the work that's being done. And I think that when we talk about police commissions and study commissions, I really hope that this is not another one of those Royal Commission studies. We do want to see. I think that it's important for us to see those reports, and I think it's important for us to see those recommendations. And yes, it was a really big disappointment when we took a look at the Pickering case and seeing the numbers of cases that he was convicted for. Years ago, we had in Terrace, and we called ourselves First Nations Council of Women. And I think that there's, we sort of fell on the wayside, but there's lots of talk now, and more women are asking us to come back and bring that program back. It was a non-profit organization, and but it was a place for our women to meet, and it was a place for our women to talk about these types of issues. And I think we all know, all of us in this room know that things like poverty, isolation, racism, discrimination, overcrowdedness, and all of those things are certainly not new to us. And we do need to see that priority. We do need to see some priority when it comes to these issues, in particular when we're dealing with our people. And Barb had mentioned that hitchhiking is not going to go away. We can put all the signs out there that we please. The isolation in our communities is, you know, there's public transportation that is very far and few between, and there are other challenges that people face, and you know, many of our people, it's not just our people, but there are many people who are on fixed incomes, can't get from point A to point B without having to hitchhike. And I think that one of the things that I wanted to mention too is new to the court workers, very new to the court workers, is the support program. It's Aboriginal Women's Outreach Worker Program. And those types of programs I think would be very helpful. They're small programs, but the only one that I've seen advertised so far is in Prince George. And when we take a look at the size and the numbers of women that are missing, especially in the north, and when we take a look at the highway tiers, that those types of programs should be offered in more communities. Thank you for listening. Yeah, I've been a court worker for about 18 years now, and there are, like I said, there's lots of challenges, and people coming to court oftentimes fail to appear in court, and more we're seeing people appear to court who are hitchhiking. And when they're hitchhiking from community to community to get to court. And, you know, the downside of that is that we eventually see our people in custody, right? But that's, like, say, the public transportation is far few between in our northern communities. And so, and it's just not our women, it's not just our women. We're beginning to see more and more of our young men who are hitchhiking to get to court. Some of us who are frontline workers, we can pull an arm, we can twist an arm, we can try and get some money. We're not often successful with that because there's just no monies there for people to travel. And it's expensive. When you're talking about going to court places like Dease Lake, you know, you're not going to hop on a public bus and get up there. People who might have lived in Dease Lake are now living in Terrace, and they've got to get back into work. And you know, in Iyanch in particular, when we go to court there are more and more people hitchhiking from community to try and get to those court dates.
Thank you. And I would like to thank the Commission for giving us the opportunity here to provide input into the issues issues that are within the mandate. And I'm hoping that the information that has been shared here will provide for positive outcomes and the recommendations, and that once we do see this final report, that it's beneficial for all that are involved. I too, one of the missing women is my cousin. And the reason I'm standing here is because my aunt isn't here right now, and one of the first things that came to my mind was I'm asking myself why she's not here. And I guess my question for you is those families that are affected, were they given an opportunity, or were they given an invite letter to inform them of this? Because it's been said here with regards to the communication that it doesn't matter what form of communication that you're reaching out to the public, that people are going to get missed. And I think that this would have been very beneficial for her to be here, to hear and to participate, and at least for her to be able to experience the support because of other people that have shared. The two people that Millie spoke about, I also know. And Barb has alluded to a lot of valuable information, as well as everybody else has, but I know that within Nisga'a Nation, there are initiatives being worked on, as you know, in mainstream society. As it's been said, it's not an Indian problem, a First Nations problem, it's a social problem. And everybody needs the support, no matter what ethnic group that you come from. And it's also been said that there's been cutbacks in the programs and services that are offered to these individuals. And sometimes there's just, you know, they just get to a point where they just feel that there's nowhere to turn, and bad decisions are made, or decisions that they never normally would have made under pressure. So I would encourage you with your report and whatever recommendations that you have, you know, that it's shared freely, and that it's transparent, and it's everything that's being recorded in all of these sessions in the 7 communities is accounted for. I think this is probably a long time coming, and again, I would like to acknowledge our mayor for being here and showing support, and also members of the RCMP and members of the resource, and Millie, and from our court worker. It's much appreciated to see you here to show support. And again, it's really too bad that we don't have more members of the community, because I think there would have been a lot more input. And again, to get back to my question with regards to those that are immediately affected, whether or not they were actually sent a letter to say that we were going to be here. Again, thank you for coming, and there's lots of Tim Hortons in the back.
The Commission is inviting written submissions, if there is some information that these family members have. I see all of you are so articulate, and you know, some of you did not prepare. You got up here and you made powerful speeches, and I know that's part of the Nisga'a training from day one. And I think that if there could be support out there for some of these family members that weren't here. I was trying to track Ms. Hogan now, Mrs. Hogan. Just couldn't find her. I phoned the number. I tried to get a counselor looking for her. Just couldn't find her. So I apologize for that. But we did. I was reaching out. We were reaching out, and we're still open to hearing from them and in written submission forms through perhaps support from yourselves. And if I could invite Chief and Elder Marty Adams up to make a closing prayer. That doesn't mean you have to leave. You can have the coffee. There's still donuts.
Coffee and refreshments.
Yes. I saw you went out shopping.
Yeah, I did.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda. And before I offer up our thanks for the guidance that you asked for at the beginning of the meeting, I want to again thank all of you that have traveled here to our community, all of you that are supporting, and that's everyone in here. What we do when we get together like this is something that's pointed out in almost every feast that our people hold, no matter what it's for. Quite often it's because you lost a loved one. It's very similar to what we're talking about here. But what is always said there is that reminding each other that whenever anyone needs assistance, we stand with each other. It's said in our own language. Thank you for coming and standing with us. And so that's what I want to convey to all of you and to everyone that is here, because that's what we're doing. We're trying to lend each other our strength collectively. Thank you very much for that. Lower your heads, please. Kadafiyat Muslimawi. Kasabakum kinam toyos. Wulme diginam. Wulkos kanis. No. Say one amasat kinam no. Inin ulam wit. ولاد مولد ولاد كن نرنويل تقولاك كم والخالي سقوف والنين كمن سلم والمين of Jesus Christ come. Amen. And now let's just like to bless the food. Agreed when I made the 7 or some you can look since I go long. Will mean Jesus Christ coming. Amen.